And we have Tania Tapsell on the line. Good morning, Tania.
Good morning. Pleasure to join you today.
Hey, sorry for that rough introduction. We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty. I'm not a natural blonde, but I have all of the attributes of one.
No problem.
So, Tania, most of New Zealand will probably know now about your local government history. You were a previous councillor for one term, or was it two?
3. So
oh,
this will be my 10th year in local government, believe it or not, at the ripe old age of 31.
That is impressive.
10 years, yes.
Yeah. And I think Moko takes in the far north, he is the oldest, the youngest mayor in New Zealand, isn't he?
I have to double check that one. I'm not sure who is the youngest. Campbell Barry from...
Oh, Gore.
Yes,
that's right.
Sorry. No, Gore, that's Ben Basket. Oh, Ben.
Yes, that's right.
Ben.
Yeah.
He is the youngest. He's very young.
Yeah.
Early 20s.
Crazy
20s.
to think you're not the youngest. You're not the youngest.
No.
31.
Well, but I tell you what the bizarre thing was when I was running for mayor and being the youngest candidate at 29 at the time, and then I had just turned 30, but being the most experienced as well. So I tell you, it's not always about age.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It isn't. And you know, I was in local government in the last term as a councillor in Masterton, so I sort of understand, you know, what the difficulties and the challenges are of local government. But how have you found your first year as mayor?
Oh, look, I've absolutely loved it, but it's no secret Rotorua was facing some significant challenges this time last year. So, you know, we were becoming known across the country as the emergency housing capital. We've been able to turn that around pretty sharply. We've got about half of the motels and households in there. But there's been a lot of really awesome positives as well. Like, we managed to attract, I'm not sure if you're a NRL League fan or any of your listeners are, but we, for the first time, got the NRL Indigenous All-Stars competition out of Australia and here in Rotorua.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Some significant international events that we've hosted in that time where, you know, where I'm running the ball onto the field thinking, geez, this is pretty cool. It has been fantastic.
And just going back to the housing stuff, so you were like, and I've stayed in that sort of as a motel alley almost on one of your main streets, and I understand that was one of the areas where there was lots of emergency housing and stuff. So just walk us through exactly what you walked into as mayor and where you're at now in terms of housing.
Oh, look, we walked into an absolute mile of misery where we had anywhere on a given week between 50 and 60 motels being used for emergency housing.
Wow.
It was one of the single most damaging policies and actions a government has done to Rotorua. So obviously in the COVID lockdowns, we had many empty motels. But of course some people were going through financially challenging times, not having jobs anymore due to lockdowns. And so they had to go somewhere. And unfortunately for Rotorua, the government, in particular Ministry of Social Development, was funding people to be in our motels. So it was hugely challenging. We would have up to 1,000 people coming through our motels, you know, in a year.
Wow.
So up to, but often a little bit over that. And so it was a challenge. So we walked into that, and I was just very clear. The day after I was elected, I was on national media saying we've had this for the past 2 years and it needs to end in 2 months. And actually we'll do that by having an exit plan, because that was the issue. You know, I think at first Rotorua community didn't mind looking after our own, but we ended up looking after people from all over the country. So we got the exit plan signed, sealed, and we have been delivering on it, which was a Rotorua Housing Accord. So it goes both ways though, right? We're stopping the bad use of motels, but we're also making sure that on the other side we were building more affordable homes and more social homes, because a motel is not a home. So it's been a progressive and targeted effort in partnership with the government. So good on them. They did come to the table, sign the dotted line and say, yep, we need to do better. But also our local iwi here in Rotorua, and they were hugely beneficial to assisting us as well, and actually building a number of housing developments too. So Looking pretty good at the moment.
And so how many motels are back to being motels of the original ones that were used for emergency housing?
Yes, the last number I looked at was 22. 22 motels.
Wow, that's a big change.
Which is, yes, it's a significant decrease, but for transparency, because, we are still a world-class destination. And the amazing thing is people will come here and they'll say, man, we had a great time. We didn't see any of the homeless issues that we heard about.
Yeah.
So, I think things are definitely looking up for us here in Rotorua.
Yeah. And in terms of tourism, we talked a bit about tourism this morning because I've just come from Stewart Island. I've got one of those things where the jewel in the crown's now sort of being denied them or severely hampered in terms of access. So in terms of the rise of tourism, because we are starting to see that again, what other things, like you've got the NRL and stuff like that, but what other stuff are you doing around attracting tourists to Rotorua and the area?
Because of the reputational damage before, it's really just restoring that world-class destination sort of. It's not it actually was becoming a brand, but it's actually just restoring our reputation. And what we're doing is making sure that we're getting the basics right. So when you do come to town, our parks and reserves look amazing. We're supporting our businesses to feel confident again. So we also recently opened up a new ride here at Velocity Valley. We are known, and we're actually in Forbes top 50, I think, places to visit in the world. And it was because of our adventure tourism and our Māori culture. But so get this, these are the things you do as mayor. I was hooked up to this thing that's about as high as a bungee jump. It was 40 metres high, doing a live stream Facebook saying, check out this new ride. I'm trying not to look terrified. And then they dropped me free fall 40 metres. So I was caught by a net. Don't worry, they're not dropping me completely out of the place yet. But those are the sorts of things we're doing. And it's great to see that businesses, we're not only getting the same, a return of the visitor numbers that we had pre-COVID, but we do have operators that are willing to reinvest because they can see that there is a bright future for us here again.